Good evening to our viewers watching on television and those joining us online across our social media platforms. I am Madonna Doric with the Wednesday, February 4 edition of the Guyana TV9 News. In the headlines tonight, President Ali slams comical claims that state pending drives growth stouts 14.3% non-oil surge. Speaker Nadir defends media access protocols amid outcry over chamber restrictions. Pardons and not benefits. Rodriguez slams opposition while pitching $1.5 trillion people-centered budget. And traditional Amerindian homes are not symbols of failure or poverty. Minister slams opposition remarks. Now for the news in depth. President Irfan Ali has dismissed claims that Guyana's boom is an artificial stimulus driven by government spending, labeling such views comical. He argued that the non-oil sector's 14.3% expansion in 2025 proves that businesses are producing more goods and services through genuine productivity gains. Colin Abrams reports.
According to official data referenced by the president, non-oil GDP growth increased from 4.6% in 2021 to 14.3% in 2025, averaging about 13% annually between 2022 and 2025. In 2025, non-oil sectors contributed nearly 20% of the total expansion of the economy, alongside continued growth in the oil sector. Government spending, he explained, is not itself our production sector and only attributes to GDP when it results in real economic activity, such as contractors building infrastructure, suppliers provide materials, workers are employed, or services are delivered. Without real production, value creation, and job generation, he said, there is no accounting framework that allows non-oil GDP figures to be inflated. As an example of productivity enhancing public investment, the president pointed to the Dr. Bar Jagdio Demerara River Bridge, noting that reduced travel time, lower fuel consumption, and improved transport efficiency are already translating into tangible economic benefits for commuters and businesses.
If non-oil GDP is growing, then non-oil firms are producing more output. This is no accounting framework. There is no accounting framework in this. This is not a balance sheet. None that allows government spending to artificially inflate non-oil GDP without real economic activity. So without real economic activity taking place, without real production taking place, without real value being created, without real jobs being created, there is no accounting framework that can artificially address GDP.
President Ali maintained that public investment has played a catalytic role by enabling productivity and private sector expansion rather than substituting for it. He cautioned that mischaracterizing the drivers of economic growth risks undermining public understanding and investor confidence at a time when Ghana is seeking sustained domestic and foreign investment.
Take, for example, our investment in hinterland roads. How are the miners going to be facilitated? The foresters going to be facilitated if we don't carry out these capital expenditure that lead to increased productivity, increased production, more jobs created, investment and expansion of the economy. The view expressed, therefore, by the parrots that government spending is responsible for economic growth and not the strong performance of the non-oil sector is therefore not only false, but frankly comical. It is comical. It shows severe weakness in their understanding of policy framework.
President Ali also stressed that confidence in the economy is closely tied to confidence in policy, data, and long-term development strategy, which he said remain firmly grounded in real economic activity across both oil and non-oil sectors. The opposition during parliamentary debate argued that Ghana's GDP figures present a distorted picture of the economy because they are heavily driven by oil production. Opposition members contended that headline GDP growth overstates the country's true economic strength, noting that a significant share of oil revenue flows to foreign operators. They warned that relying on oil-inflated GDP to assess debt sustainability and justify increased government spending could mask weaknesses in the non-oil economy and expose the country to future fiscal risks. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
Public Works Minister Bishop Juan Echil has launched a high-stakes campaign to reclaim Guyana's public revenues. warning that lawlessness will no longer obstruct the nation's infrastructure boom, with major highway expansions now linking the East Bank and East Coast corridors. The ministry is deploying task forces to impound and crash derelict vehicles that hinder construction and compromise road safety. More from Faith Sandy.
Minister Edgell highlighted ongoing major road projects improving connectivity across key corridors, including the East Bank and East Coast. He also pointed to major upgrades along the airport to Good Success corridor. According to Edgell, these projects are being executed in phases to avoid chaos, ease traffic building up, and ensure communities are not overwhelmed by simultaneous construction.
Now that we have more people in vehicle ownership, we have to expand the network. And in the expansion of the roads, we got to be able to do more. Uh, One of the things is happening, but people are not seeing it because of where it's happening. We are moving the road right now, the Oval Eccles Road. We're moving that road from Eccles to Providence, and we are making a link Providence to the bridge. So when you come over the bridge, you don't have to turn Heroes Highway anymore and then go to find the road to Oval. You will go straight across, and you get out to Oval, and you go onto the East Coast. So that's one set of traffic that we're taking off. The road from Diamond is going all the way out to Land Canaan and then eventually onto the Suze Linden Highway. We're improving the corridor from the airport to Good Success.
On public space management, Edgell said the ministry has launched a strong task force to remove derelict vehicles and illegal structures that block roads and sidewalks. He explained that the government reserves and public thoroughfares, including areas such as Independence Boulevard and Aubrey Barker Road, are being cleared and properly managed. The minister added that the initiative will soon be expanded to smaller regions, particularly communities with narrow streets where obstructions create serious safety concerns.
The task force is out there on a daily basis, but what needs to be done is so great. You'll see me out there assisting the task force when it is necessary. But I can't spend my life moving derelict vehicles and telling people move a carbon and, you know, if you remember, we had a big hullabaloo out of the seawall. And all we were trying to do is to get everybody back in off the road. People are going to die if you all continue to sell at the edge of the road. People can't pass each other. And just to get those stars to pull back in, it wasn't happening. I have to go out there and say, look, we're doing it. Get the high ups and we lift everybody back in line. I have not to go back to the seawall in a long time. So it's a matter of getting order in place. When we were doing Independence Boulevard, some people said they're moving, they're born there, they grow there, then the government reserve. We went out there, we talked with them, we moved them. Independence Boulevard is functioning very, very well. We were building Aubrey Barker Street. Some people are living in the government reserves.
Minister Edgell stressed that both the road development program and public space cleanup drive are part of a wider plan to modernize Guyana's infrastructure while improving the quality of life for citizens. He assured that the ministry will continue working with communities to maintain order and ensure smoother, safer movement across the country. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
Jamal Kenny, 23, the driver behind the fatal Barajak Deodemrara River Bridge crash, was granted $2.1 million bail despite the tragedy that claimed lives and left others seriously injured, facing charges of causing death by dangerous driving and failing to control his vehicle. Kenny now must report regularly to police and barred from driving while families of the victims continues to grapple with their loss. The case is set to return to court on April 2nd, keeping the community's grief and the question of accountability at the forefront. During the 2026 budget debate, Speaker Honorable Manzoor Nadir dismissed claims of media censorship as totally inaccurate, asserting that parliamentary access has actually expanded under his tenure. While the Guyana Press Association condemned the limited seating as an affront to press freedom, Nadir maintained that procedural changes were strictly necessary to uphold the standing orders and the dignity of the House. Here is more.
Drawing attention to Standing Order 110, the Speaker reminded members that the Assembly itself governs media access and that the Speaker is empowered to grant or revoke permissions in accordance with rules approved by the House. He made it clear that no such rule limiting media access have been passed.
So you have an option. You can mislead persons who want to go down that road, or you can bring a motion until then I will continue to ensure that the media, the private media, as well as the state media, have access. No one is being restricted from covering the proceedings of this House. We establish two positions. You have to talk to, I'm the speaker. When the speaker stands, Manzoor Nadir, you don't need to respect. But this position, yes. There is a station downstairs, any amount of media could go. And the Guyana Press Association decides how they rotate.
Speaker Nadir noted that the current media access arrangements are not arbitrary, but were established through consultation with the Guyana Press Association and represents an expansion of what existed at the end of the 12th Parliament. He cautioned against misleading narratives about unfettered access, emphasizing that parliamentary procedures must be
The
respected.
speaker may grant a general permission to the representative of any media to attend sittings of the Assembly under such rules as the National Assembly may make from time to time. If such rules are contravened, such permissions may be revoked. So you can bring a motion to the House, have it debated, pass, and I will implement those.
With more than 3 decades of parliamentary experience, Speaker Nadir underscored his role as part of the institutional memory of the National Assembly and reiterated that members who wish to alter the existing framework have a clear consultation pathway, bringing motion to the House. Until such time, the Speaker assured the nation that both private and state media continue to have access to the proceedings. He highlighted the established media station within the Parliament building, where rotation is managed by the Guyana Press Association to ensure fairness and order. Meanwhile, the Guyana Press Association GPA has rejected what it's called misleading statements by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Manzoor Nadir, made during sittings of February 3, 2026, insisting there is no current agreement governing media access to Parliament. The GPA said arrangements cited by the Speaker applied only during COVID-19 restrictions, which ended in 2022, and argued that Standing Order 110 does not justify limiting reporters or private cameras without Assembly-approved rules. The association also criticized the absence of a reliable audio-visual feed, rejected the exclusion of private media cameras, and said repeated attempts to engage the Speaker were rebuffed. The GPA warned that the restrictions undermine media freedom and parliamentary transparency. Adana Dorek, Guyana TV9 News.
We will be back after the short break. Stay tuned.
GECOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise to produce an official list of electors, OLE. Anyone who became 18 years or older on December 31, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GECOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can object to anyone who you believe does not qualify for inclusion in the OLE. To do so, you must be listed in the same divisional list as the person you are objecting to. You must visit the GECOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to make an objection. It is an offense to make false objections. The objections aspect of this exercise will end on Thursday, January 22, 2026. For more information, contact the GECOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gecom.org.gy.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamaha Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
GECOM is currently conducting a claims and objections exercise to produce an official list of electors, OLE. Anyone who became 18 years or older on December 31, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, or naturalization, or a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more, you are eligible for inclusion in the OLE. GECOM has posted the preliminary list of electors, PLE, in all of the registration divisions across Guyana for you to check if you are listed, and if so, whether your particulars are accurate. You can object to anyone who you believe does not qualify for inclusion in the OLE. To do so, you must be listed in the same divisional list as the person you are objecting to. You must visit the GECOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to make an objection. It is an offense to make false objections. The objections aspect of this exercise will end on Thursday, January 22, 2026. For more information, contact GECOM on 225-0278-9 or visit www.gecom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. Describing Budget 2026 as a decisive shift towards inclusive growth, Minister Susan Rodriguez told the National Assembly that the government's new fiscal plan puts people first by doubling down on social assistance and infrastructure. Rodriguez slammed the APNU's AFC tenure for stalling development, arguing that the PPPC has instead delivered on its promises through unprecedented increases in old age pensions, expanding child grants, and major tax removals for the productive sectors. Colin Abrams has this story.
Rodriguez said Guyana's economy continues to record strong, broad-based growth, citing a 19.3% overall expansion in 2025 and a non-oil growth of 14.3%. She noted is that this growth spans agriculture, construction, mining, manufacturing and services, and is reflected in the measures contained in Budget 2026. Responding to criticisms from opposition members, Rodriguez contrasted the government's current record with that of the APNU-AFC administration, arguing that past policies resulted in hardship, reduced social support, and limited investment in housing, education, health, and infrastructure. She said the PPC government has instead focused on expanding benefits, removing taxes and increasing social assistance, including the doubling of old age pensions and continued cost of living relief.
This budget, the first for this term in office, is the vehicle through which we will begin the work to achieve the commitments made in our 2025 to 2030 manifesto. Mr. Speaker, the public is aware that the People's Progressive Party Civic take our commitments seriously, and that we were able to deliver all of the promises we made in our 2020 to 2025 manifesto. And therefore, the public knows that they can trust this government to deliver all of our commitments in the next 5 years.
Turning to tourism, Rodriguez said the sector has become a major pillar of national development, recording its strongest performance to date in 2025 with 452,489 visitors, a 22% increase over 2024. She announced continued investments in airstrips, road, bridges, and airport infrastructure, as well as the removal of duties and taxes on ATVs, outboard engines, and reduced taxation and double cabin pickups to lower operating costs for tour operators. Minister Rodriguez also pointed to gains in aviation connectivity, with 12 new airlines added to Guyana's routes since 2020, and the expansion of quota capacity, with more than 700 rooms added in 2025 and over 1,000 more expected in 2026. International recognition, she said, has further boosted Guyana's tourism profile, including features of Bluebird, the New York Times, and Wanderlust.
In that regard, it gives me great pleasure to announce that the Caribbean Tourism Organization's State of the Tourism Industry Conference will be hosted in Guyana in October for the very first time since its inception. This conference is CTO's premier gathering for tourism leaders of the Caribbean and attracts hundreds of regional and international delegates, positioning Guyana as a major player in the development of MICE tourism. That is, meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions.
On small business development, Rodriguez described the establishment of the U.S. $100 million Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Development Bank as one of the budget's most significant initiatives. The minister said these initiatives are aligned with government's diversification strategy, supporting non-oil sector growth and job creation. She added that agencies under her ministry, including the National Bureau of Standards and the Competition and Consumers Affairs Commission, will continue strengthening consumer protection, standards development, and market oversight.
In 2025, the Small Business Bureau placed increased emphasis on community development projects aimed at strengthening sustainability at the local level. To date, 24 communities have benefited from this initiative, with direct impact on approximately 250 persons. Through these efforts, communities across almost every region of the country are now engaged in larger scale projects capable of generating employment and consistent income. In 2026, the Bureau will continue to support small businesses through development grants with a target of at least 1,500 beneficiaries. Strong emphasis will remain on community-based projects. Additionally, 32 businesses benefited from the Loan Guarantee Program, representing an investment of more than $270 million.
Rodriguez said Budget 2026 reaffirms that tourism, industry, and commerce are frontline drivers of development. She urged support for the budget, stating that it reflects the government's commitment to building an inclusive, competitive, and sustainable economy that creates opportunity in every community across Guyana. Colin Abrams, Guyana TV9 News.
A quarantine woman's life was violently upended on March 4, 2024, when a man from her own neighborhood who had once worked at her home broke into her bedroom, assaulted her, and raped her as she struggled to escape. Terrified and threatened with weapons, she endured repeated attacks until a neighbor's intervention forced the intruder to flee. Traumatized and hospitalized, she later reported the ordeal, leading to a guilty plea from 39-year-old Anthony Jeffrey, a night of fear and violation that has left lasting physical and emotional scars. Minister of Amerindian Affairs Sarah Brown Shiddiq issued a sharp rebuke to We Invest in Nationhood WIN member of Parliament Dion LaCruz, condemning his dismissal of traditional quote-unquote truly housing as misguided and offensive. During the Budget 2026 debate, she defended indigenous architecture as a vital expression of cultural identity and sustainability rather than a symbol of poverty.
Speaking during the Budget 2026 debates on Tuesday at the Arthur Chong Convention Center, the minister addressed comments made by the opposition MP Dion LaCruz of the We Invest in Nationhood WIN party. LaCruz argued that the Amerindians should no longer be living in truly houses, stating that people should not be born, grow, and die in such homes.
I strongly believe, Mr. Speaker, that the days for Amerindians to be living in truly house should now be over with all the wealth in this country has. As we always said in Guyana, we born in truly house, but we never dead in truly house.
Minister Brown Shiddiq rejected the assertion, stressing that traditional indigenous houses are not indicators of poverty or backwardness. Instead, she said they represent indigenous culture, climate responsive design, sustainability, and a deep sense of identity preserved across generations. The minister also shared a message she received from Luana Augustus, a young Patamuna woman from K2, Region 8, who voiced concern and hurt over the remarks. Brown Shadiq underscored that development should expand choices for indigenous peoples, not erase their heritage.
I'd like to refer to my WhatsApp chat that was sent to me at 1:55 a.m. this morning by an intelligent, young Patamuna girl from K2 Region 8. What she sent to me was a screenshot from the Guyana Standard, which said, and I quote the MP to say, "I strongly believe, Mr. Speaker, that the days for Amerindians to be living in truly houses should now be over with all the wealth of this country has. You can't born, grow, and dead in a truly house. We want mansions too, like some of the honorable members on the other side." Here is what Luana Augustus from K2 Region 8 had to say. "Good night, Minister. This is very offensive. I hope you will debunk this nonsense peddled by the opposition. Traditional homes are not symbols of failure or poverty. They reflect culture, climate, knowledge, sustainability, and identity passed down for generations."
She further noted that genuine progress in Amerindian communities is reflected in access to clean water, quality healthcare, education, reliable infrastructure, and meaningful economic opportunities, not the abandonment of cultural traditions.
Development should give people choices, not erase who we are. And what's sad is when some of our own indigenous brothers and sisters repeat these narratives looking down on our traditional living. Real progress, Mr. Speaker, is clean water, free healthcare, free education, roads, and opportunities to improve our livelihoods. And that is what this government is committed to doing. Not everyone wants the same definition of development. Mr. Speaker, Luana said, development should never come at the cost of erasing culture.
Highlighting government consultations in parts of Region 8, Brown Shadiq revealed that many residents deliberately chose to retain traditional houses designed under national housing programs, reinforcing the need for dignity, community consultation, and respect for cultural preferences in development planning. Adana Dorg, Guyana TV9 News.
Minister Zulfikar Mustafa placed sugar workers at the heart of Tuesday's Budget 2026 debate, reporting a 26% production leap and 113,000 metric tonnes of cane harvested. Rebutting opposition critics, he noted that 41% of fields are now mechanized, proving the government's GECOM turnaround plan in delivering results for farming families.
Minister Mustafa turned his attention directly to opposition MP Vishnu Pandey, accusing him of overseeing years of poor performance while at GECOM. He argued that true accountability must be rooted in honesty, stating that critics cannot ignore their own past records while condemning current progress. The minister reminded Parliament that under Pandey's leadership, the corporation recorded its lowest ever production of just 6,700 tons, a period that negatively affected farmers, workers, and sugar-dependent communities.
The Pandey syndrome. Pandey was working under the PNCR in GECOM, and he worked under the PPP Civic, and he destroyed the corporation. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member portrayed himself as the champion of accountability. But accountability begins with honesty. One cannot credibly demand standard today while conveniently ignoring one's record yesterday. He was the honorable member was the agriculture director of GECOM, and his performance was far below par. Under his tenure, Mr. Speaker,
The minister highlighted that wasted opportunities under previous management, noting that more than 5,000 hectares of mechanized land at Skeldon were available, but less than 1,000 hectares were planted. He said this failure affected thousands of sugar workers and their families. Mustafa added that production has since risen, estates are being revived, and a 5-year plan is in place to return Gaisuko to profitability by 2030.
Sugar production, they criticize it. But when the honorable member, when he was fired, when his contract was not renewed, 2024, when his contract was not renewed in 2024, sugar production increased by 26%. 26% sugar production increased by. Mr. Speaker, 113,047 metric tons of cane were harvested mechanically. Over 41% of Gaisuko's agriculture department now field have been mechanized. He had the task, the honorable member, but he failed. The cooperation is moving, and Mr. Speaker, I have here in my hand the new 5-year strategic plan for Gaisuko, which will see Gaisuko come to profitability by 2030. This is the plan that we have, Mr. Speaker.
Minister Mustafa stressed that the real focus of the government remains the people behind the statistics, the cane cutters, factory workers, and rural families who depend on the industry. We value people, he said, urging all sides of Parliament to support policies that secure a stronger future for the men and women who feed the nation. Faith Stanley, Ghana TV9 News.
Internationally, Ryan Root, 59, was sentenced to life in prison for his attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at Florida golf course in September 2024. An act prosecutors said he carried out totally unrepentant and with meticulous planning. Armed with a rifle and a list of Trump's likely locations, Root was stopped by a Secret Service agent before he could act. Yet, his erratic courtroom behavior and lack of remorse underscored the danger he posed. The case, the second attempt on Trump's life that year, leaves a challenging reminder of how close a tragedy came and the ongoing efforts to protect public figures from violence. Those are our major headlines for tonight's newscast. For more trending stories, follow us at our Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube platforms at GYTV9. I am Adana Doric. Thank you for watching.